I woke up at 2 a.m. to a blood-curdling scream. Yesterday, both me and my father had been woken up to a loud pitch screaming. Occasionally, you could hear words like, "fucking dickhead," or "god damn it." This has been going on for an estimated 20 to 30 minutes. Occasionally, there will be a banging that sounded like a window, possibly someone's house or the man's car. Not soon after, the neighbor called the police. I remember looking out the window, still in my bed, scared to see a guy stumbling around by across the street from my house. He looked to be about in his late 30s. He wore a beanie and a gray shirt and jeans, no shoes. I remember watching the man go into his car. Once he heard the sirens, he was shortly cuffed and out into one of the 3 cop cars. I was crying. I was so scared that he might have tried to hurt someone or tried to break in. When the police came out, the car with an evidence bag, I could see what it looked like to be a phone, a collar, and a Tabasco pipe. A day before the incident, my father was fixing a ball joint on his car. He said a dog that had been reported missing was ran over by a degenerate person who drove away after realizing what he did. Today I still can't stop thinking about what happened. I don't know if I should be scared of the unknown man or sympathy since I thought it was his dog that got killed. I keep replaying the screams in my head. Was he drunk? Was he high? Or worse, was this his normal behavior? Someone sneaked into my cousin's house. This was like 2-3 years ago. I was about 11 and playing games with my female younger cousin, whom we'll call Sarah for her privacy. She always had this old console which was never used and had all the cool retro games like the original Super Mario Bros. We plugged it into her ancient ass looking TV and played a 2-player game that I don't even remember what it was. I just remember getting mad over how hard it was. The house was an average size house with the ground floor and the second floor with an attic. We were in the living room that took a little over 1/4 of the entire house. Damn. Our parents went out somewhere. We were sitting in the part of the living room where the chimney was, so we couldn't see everything. We were expecting some more family members to arrive through the gate, so when our parents left, they left the gate open so that they can enter without waiting for them. Eventually, someone entered the house. The door was pretty quiet. We heard the steps come through the small room and into the living room. Me and Sarah looked at each other and both thought that it's our family. Sarah said, "Hey, Uncle." Silence. The steps stopped. "Uncle?" She leaned towards the other part of the living room and screamed. I looked at her face, which was still screaming. Not just screams, but gibberish, like she was trying to tell me something. I heard the steps run away from the room and disappear into the distance. After she stopped crying and calmed down, she described what she saw as an old woman with dirty clothes. The woman left the muddy blueprints and gray ugly hair were the only evidence left. When our parents got home a little over a minute later, we called the cops. I never saw that woman again. And as far as I know, it's unknown who she was or what she was doing in our house. The footprints were pretty small in European size. It was like 37, which was around the same shoe size as me and my cousin were. Some midget grandma sneaked into our house and ran away. A surprise CD and horrifying video. Let's go back 16 years. I'm a 18/19-year-old kid working in the store in the UK, in the southeast of England. I've been working at the store on and off for 3 years. I go to university up north. One day my line manager says, "Oh, you have post," handing me a handwritten letter with my name on it. This was surprising. No one sends me personal letters to work addresses, in the UK especially in retail, so I presume it must be some sort of invite to an event, or a note to say thanks from a customer I had met. Upon opening the letter, all that it contained was a CD in a sleeve, clearly a burnt CD, and it just had "for Matt" written across the front. Intrigued, I popped out to the office and loaded it up. What I say horrified me. The video started in a dark room with a lady dressed in white, her hair covering her face. I couldn't tell if she was looking at the camera, but I had the creeping feeling. At first I thought it might have been from a movie. She began walking slowly towards the camera, and then all of a sudden she was on the ceiling, crouched. The video cut, and then the next thing I saw was 6/7 men in what looked like a desert setting. They had a man on the floor, and what preceded was a brutal beheading. I ejected the CD immediately, was nearly sick, and immediately phoned the police. Within 10 minutes, the police had attended, taken the CD and letter in a sealed evidence bag, and asked my various questions about what was on it, and if anybody might be threatening me for any reason. This was all over pretty quickly, and being a young kid, I guess I didn't follow it up to find out what this was all about. It's been on my mind and off for years. Why did they send it to me? And what was on the rest of the video? Was it a warning of some kind, or just an accident? Who knows? I had never heard or received anything since, but it was truly terrifying. And the images I did see are burnt into my brain. My terrifying encounter with a real-life home invasion 4 years ago in rural Vermont. I've been hesitant to share this story for a while, but I feel it's time to get it off my chest. 4 years ago in a peaceful rural town of Springfield, Vermont, I had an experience that still sends shivers down my spine. I survived a real-life home invasion, and I want to share my story to raise awareness and maybe even help others stay safe. Background: it all started on a quiet summer evening in Springfield, Vermont. Life was calm, and my husband and I felt safe in our cozy home. The incident: one night around 2 a.m., we were woken up by strangers' noises outside our house. It sounded like chanting and eerie music. At first we thought it might be some late night party or teenagers messing around, but as the noises grew louder and closer, we realized something was terribly wrong. We peered through the curtains and saw a group of people dressed in dark robes, carrying torches and chanting in a language we couldn't understand. They had a symbol that looked like an inverted star on their robes. It was straight out of a horror movie. Terrified, my husband and I hid in the closet and called 911. Whispering so as not to be heard, the operator assured us that help was on the way, but we had no idea how long it would take for them to arrive. The invasion. The cult members were getting closer, and it felt like an eternity waiting in the dark closet. We heard them breaking down windows and entering our home. They were calling out in the strange language and seemed to be searching for something. As they moved throughout our house, my heart raced, and my husband and I clung to each other. We had no idea who these people were or what they wanted. It was a surreal and horrifying experience. The escape. Finally, we heard the sirens in the distance. The police were on their way. The cult members must have heard them too, because they suddenly fled, disappearing into the night. The police arrived moments later and were taken to the station to provide statements and describe the invaders. We later learned that this call had been involved in criminal activities, including break-ins and other disturbing rituals. Aftermath. Though we survived the home invasion, the trauma of the night will stay with us forever. We were lucky to get out of that situation without physical harm, but the emotional scars run deep. We've since installed a state-of-the-art security system from reputable company and moved to a different town, far away from that horrifying experience. We opted for a cutting-edge home security system from Guardian Security Systems, complete with motion detectors, surveillance cameras, and remote monitoring. The systems not only alert us to any potential security breaches, but also provides peace of mind, knowing that we can check in our property from anywhere using a smartphone app. I'm sharing this story to remind everyone to stay vigilant and to ensure their home security is as strong as possible. You never know when you might become the target of a cult or any other criminal organization. Please take your safety seriously and prepare for the unexpected.